Everyone, welcome to another AssignmentSaysStamp.com video. This is the third video in the beginning stamping series, and today I'm going to be talking about tips for getting the best possible stamped image. And one of the first things you learn when you're learning to stamp is that you need to make sure that you have an even coating of ink across the entire surface of your stamp. So I'm going to show you how I do that. A lot of people just start tap 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 tap. And usually that works, but another thing you can do is sometimes I like to kind of rub it a little bit. That makes sure that there gets ink on all the surface, and then I'll just give it a few more little taps so that it gets rid of any streakiness that rubbing may have caused. And then you want to do an even pressing down onto the paper. And I like to really press down hard, not too hard, but pretty hard, and kind of just let it sit there for a minute and then pull straight up. And that's going to give you a really even, sharp image. Now, sometimes the hardest stamps to work with are the ones that have really delicate lines. I hope you guys can see this here. I'll zoom in a little bit. This stamp right here has really delicate lines, and it's one of the harder stamps to stamp because it has such delicate lines. You can't squish it at all, and since it's a clear stamp, there is that chance that you could start to squish it just a little bit. You can't press too hard. It's really difficult to get a really good impression with this stamp. So I'm going to show you a tip for what I do for stamps like this. Alright, so after I have it mounted on my block, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to ink it up with some chalk ink. It can be, you can use whatever type of ink you want. Generally you want to use an ink that's going to coat the entire stamp really well. So I'm just going to ink up that stamp. And then I'm going to take a Stamp-A-Jig stamp positioner. And I'm not going to use it to get it in a certain spot. I'm using it to anchor the stamp while I go down to stamp. And that's going to make it so I don't rock the stamp at all, so I don't move it around at all, and it's going to give me the best possible impression. So that's one right there. I'm going to try one more time. Another thing I like to do with these really intricate, delicate stamps is stamp it twice, because sometimes you just have to get a feel for the stamp to make sure you're getting a good impression. See, that one's even better than the one on the other side. So don't be afraid to stamp it twice, and kind of be prepared for it, especially with these really thin lined stamps like this. When it comes to large background stamps, sometimes those are hard to stamp as well. So the first thing you do is you want to coat your stamp really evenly with ink, and you have two options. You can have the paper down on your surface and go down like this and stand up. Standing up really helps too. Stand up if you're sitting down. Stand up and really press down on all those corners of the stamp. Don't let the stamp move, and then you can keep pressing it in multiple times to really get that ink pressed in. The other option, and this is the one that I like to do most often, is leave the stamp laying face up on your work surface, ink that up, and then take your paper and place your paper down really fast, and then use your fingers and kind of press the paper into the stamp, and you can feel the edges of the stamp. You can feel where it's pressing into the ink, and just hold it down really well, and then lift off, and your background will be stamped over here. Sometimes getting the best impression is all about the paper. Most smooth surface paper is going to be just fine. It doesn't matter what color or brand or anything like that. You're going to be doing pretty good. But if you want to use textured cardstock, this is some textured cardstock from American Crafts. I'm not sure if you guys can see that texture on camera, but most textured cardstock is smooth on the back side. So if you turn it over, there's going to be more of a smooth surface. It's not exactly smooth, but it's much smoother than the textured side. So if you want to use a textured cardstock, try turning it over onto the back side. My last tip for you is all about that cushion that's on the stamps. Now, wood mount stamps and cling stamps, they already have, most of the time, have a little cushion built in. So the little gray cushion it's gray on this stamp. and that helps you get a really good impression. If by chance you don't have a cushion on your stamp, or it's unmounted, or if you're just not getting a really clear image, sometimes just putting a few sheets of paper underneath your work surface, you know, just some really soft paper will be enough. You can also put a mouse pad underneath, just something to give it a little bit of cushion. That's going to help you get a better impression as well. So those are some tips for getting a really great stamped impression. Hope that helped you out, and I will catch you guys next time.